Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It's Robin with RH Image. It's my Tuesday fashion happy hour, so thanks for jumping on. I have Jennifer Spainhour as my guest tonight. Hi Jen, let's have her jump on here. Give me 1 second. Let's see, she's coming in from Chicago. For success. Let's see. There we go. Hi.
Go.
Jennifer. Hi. Sorry, sometimes it takes a few little extra seconds.
Oh,
So
no
thank
problem.
you for joining me from the Windy
Problem.
City, Chicago. So Jennifer, please introduce yourself.
First of all, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Oh,
I can. You
perfect.
good?
Yes. Thanks. Okay, so my name is, I go by Jen. Actually, over the course
Okay.
of my life, I've gone by Jen, Jenny, Jennifer. I'm in a Jen stage of my life right now. So,
Jennifer Block, whatever. Sorry, I had to do
exactly.
it.
8675309. Yeah. Anyway, I am Jen Spainhour. I am a career empowerment coach. I work primarily with women on their career development and planning out where they really want to go in their career and how to get there. And I spent over 20 years in corporate, from brand management to consulting to marketing research, and have a lot of that under my belt. And I found myself when I was in that corporate life feeling like there's something better out there for me, but I don't know what that is. So I just stayed stuck for a long time until I finally took a chance on myself and invested in myself to go through a coach certification program back in 2018. And now I've stepped into what I believe is my true calling and what I've always been meant to do, which is really to support others on their journey of, dealing with all the challenges that come along with being a woman in corporate and in professional jobs, and sometimes thinking about transitions that might need to happen along the way. So that's what I do.
And how, that's the thing. How do women kind of use that sifting process? I call it sifting because there's a lot of things that go through our minds, through our stages in life,
Yeah.
to get that insight, to hone in on what is my passion, what is my purpose that's going to fulfill me. And so you felt like that's really what took you in that journey of like, I need to position myself to be doing
Yeah.
what I really want to do. And of course, I share the same enthusiasm of
Hmm.
empowering women with
Yeah.
knowledge and
Right.
confidence.
Right. And the reason I named my company Position for Success, which works so well with what you and I are here to talk about tonight, is that at the time I was still doing marketing research and strategy consulting. And someone asked, what do you do in your research world and what do you do in your coaching world? And it basically comes down to, in both cases, I was working with either teams and brands and companies or individuals to position themselves for the success that they are looking for. Now, I will say one interesting thing that we might want to talk about, especially as it relates back to how our image also kind of evolves over time, is that our definition of success evolves over time. What I, defined as success back when I was in brand management is very different than how I define it now. And my style is different based on that as well. So I don't know if I answered your
Huh.
question. Yeah.
So when you say your style is different in terms
Hmm.
of, so you encompassing a new role, a new position, that educator, the coach, it
Yeah.
did you feel that, okay, I'm gonna dress differently to encompass that, and it helps you to just round out your mindset, or how do you think that came into play, or you just think it evolved organically as you took on this position?
It's interesting. I have never really thought about it this much before, but I'm going
Well,
to
when
now.
you use that
I
word, I was
did.
like, it's
I
like,
did.
because that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Some people are like, okay, I feel the need to step it up
Yeah.
or to position myself for that
Yeah.
success, or you saw yourself differently. And so
Hmm.
therefore you're like, okay, well, I think I need to start dressing
Right.
differently. So of course you cracked the door on that. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
no,
talk about
I
that.
love it. I love to talk all things fashion and style. And
And it's the mindset. Yeah.
I think that early in my career and just corporate wear has changed so much as well. So when I first started, we were much more formal in the way that we dressed.
Yes.
And then, I was able to do more. Actually, business casual is kind of a hard thing. I know when we would ever go to like an offsite meeting or a conference or something, it's like business casual. That's pretty easy for a man.
It's so
Khakis
ambiguous.
and
No, it's really
khakis and a
ambiguous.
shirt of any kind. Women, that's a huge range. Um, so I think that I would say that most people who know me would think that I've always dressed more on the professional slash polished side of things because I like that. I always have. What I have found though, Robin, is through COVID and just being an entrepreneur who works from home, and many of my clients work from home, it's so tempting to just wear, the most basic, comfortable clothes all the time, even shoes and I
Hornets.
definitely feel like it affects my how I show up, how I feel about myself. If I'm just wearing, some like leggings and a shirt, if I put a little more effort into it, I feel more confident. The first time that you and I met, I was working away from home that day. And it was fun to, find a reason to get a little more dressed up, to have a little more flair with my jewelry or whatever.
Yes. Yes, as we like our statement necklaces,
Yeah.
as we talked about. Um, but that's true. I talk a lot about that getting dressed, even if you're at home or wherever you are, and it doesn't, you have a mindset shift
Hmm.
because it cues your brain that you're ready to work
Yeah.
and you're bringing that person, that role, and your obligations that day versus just like you said, just being too comfortable because then you're like, okay, you're just kind of sliding into things. So it cues your client and it cues you up
Hmm.
to be in the right mindset and to be focused. I'm so happy to see all these people have jumping on here tonight. Thank you,
Oh, I
everybody who
can't even
popped
see it.
on.
Oh, there I see people. Okay.
I so appreciate that because again, I love for people to ask questions or pop in comments. And this is something that I think every woman goes through, no matter where you're
Yeah.
at in your career,
Yeah.
because even if you feel like, okay, I have gained a foothold in my career, but it shortly takes a different turn. As women, we go through so many transitions.
Hmm.
So that shifts a lot of times how women see themselves. And I get asked that question a lot in terms of, I took on a new role or it's been a lot of years, but now I'm switching back to this and I don't know how to show up in
Yeah.
my style and
Yeah.
to represent what this new stage of life looks like. What do you find when you first start coaching people that
Hmm.
sort of right in the beginning or even before they've engrossed into working with you one-on-one? What are some questions you get sometimes?
Related to how they're
Just
related
like
to what?
what they might be struggling with in terms of what they might ask you, like, hey, do you talk about this, or this is my struggle, or what,
Yeah.
I usually find there's some commonalities in that thread of
Yeah.
conversation.
I mean, for a lot of women, especially at a certain stage in your life and in your career, there's a question about their identity. And especially for some of my clients who have been laid off after many, many years at the same company, it's a real struggle to remind themselves who they are. That's not just the company name or the title they held. So I think that, and thank you for the message about the sign behind me, be the light. I do love that. You have made
Ah,
a message of it. Um, I think identity is something that women struggle with as things in their career change, sometimes not to their, not within their control. Something has changed, they've been laid off or
Right.
whatever. And I think that a lot of women who I work with are, they want success and they want fulfillment and purpose. And they don't want to feel like that has to be a trade-off. And I think this is partly, if I bring it back to image, it's a bit of like being our authentic selves, right? So the image is a balance of like what we want to project, but also what we feel comfortable in. I,
Yeah.
and
A
not
marriage.
everybody, it's not always easy to figure that out. I mean, the closest I've gotten to figuring out or articulating what my style is like, it's professional with a twist. I tend to be on the polished professional side, but I like these fun big earrings or these glasses or whatever, like something a little like the word you use, memorable. I really like that word because how many times have you been on a Zoom call or in a networking meeting where you remember someone because of what they're wearing? I actually have this really awesome pantsuit. It's like a pinky coral, which is actually very close to one of my brand colors. I was so happy to find it. And my husband was actually giving me a hard time about it because he thought it was too bright. And I said, well, I want to stand out. I actually want to
Yes.
stand out. So I went to a
Yes.
meeting. It was a networking event with women. I'm catering to women.
Right.
And I cannot tell you how many compliments I got on that suit. And I bet you that somebody would say, did you, if my name came up, it's like, oh, was she the one in the pink suit?
Right.
That's how we stand out. We bring a little bit of ourselves. So if there's
Yes.
some sort of like uniform expectation, we can still bring some element of ourselves
Right.
to
Some
it. That,
personality. It's not that, people will work with me and I always express it's not going to be cookie cutter, um, because, yes, there's a certain way that people perceive you. So you do need to have some professional guidelines, but I love a good conversational starter. So depending on where you're at, I have a client who had a really cool spider necklace that was definitely out of her norm, and I loved it. And I said, if you wear that necklace, I guarantee you are going to get a lot of responses,
yeah,
which is also a great way to just break the ice with people, to get talking.
yeah.
Because sometimes in a networking thing, there's so many
You're
people.
looking for something to start the
And
conversation.
so if you are receiving positive attention, you're more likely to have an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to be well received, to have a conversation start. Because I think about it, we do that all the time, ladies. Just even in general, if you're in the grocery store and someone in front of you has a killer pair of shoes on or a beautiful bag, don't you always go, oh, I love your bag? So it's kind of the same thing in networking in terms of whether it's a positive or negative, you are being assessed as people. You're milling around in the room, you're talking to people, you're making contact,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the opportunity that if you are like that fresh corally pink suit, a funky statement necklace, is not, as long as you are pulled together, there's this leeway to have a pop of
Yeah.
something interesting. And like I said, who doesn't, it could be memorable, or it could be the thing that gets you talking to somebody and you got to do your 30-second pitch
Right.
to someone that's who you're going to be working with, 2 weeks from now. So it's just, there are a lot of little things, color, accessories. It changes how you carry
Right.
yourself, but of course it starts conversations and makes a good impression too.
Yeah, and I think, how we feel on the inside is so important. You and I were talking about this earlier, that if you're going to give a presentation or you're going to a networking event or you're going to an interview or you are just showing up with a group of people you don't know and you want to create the right impression, the way we feel on the inside based on how we're dressed, how we are, the appearance we've got going really is what then shines through even beyond, right, the clothing or whatever. It's
Right.
the confidence that shines through,
Right.
and that comes from feeling good about, just feeling good about yourself and how you're showing up. And, I even feel that way. Other things like, so when I work away from home, I go to a co-working place down in the city, downtown Chicago, which I used to work downtown when I was in corporate years ago. And I never thought I'd want to go down there again, like for co-working, because I'm so comfy, cozy here in my home, right? But the day I went down for that tour, I was like, oh my God, there's an energy here. So when I work down there, I feel different. I feel heightened. I feel like I'm showing up in a bigger version of myself, I guess. And so all those things kind of
The
help
atmosphere,
us project.
it's true. The atmosphere, and sometimes, unfortunately, women will say to me, when I go to this particular place, and think about it, people think that sometimes it's even you go to a country club and there's a certain expectation, but there's also a certain dress code.
Right.
So in these more formal events, they'll say, you know what, I don't feel like I fit in. So I never want anyone to feel that way, because you should be able to encompass these tools
Mm-hmm.
that do make you feel confident. And so you will go to the event and you will show up so that you can open those doors. So what advice do you give? What's the most common advice that you give? More so just because I'm sure you've worked with all different ages and stages of women who are starting these new chapters or really want to achieve their goals. What's something that you would say to them in terms of to keep it realistic that might hit home with them?
Well, mostly, and I just want to, first of all, real quick, say hi to your friends who are joining us here on live. I see a few hellos in the messages. I mean, I would say what I talked with them about is more of the inner part of it. So, we all deal with the imposter syndrome, and whether that be the room that we're in and the people we're around, or on our teams, or other places where that imposter syndrome shows up that makes us second guess ourselves, makes us not want to speak and use our voice because we're not sure if we've got the right answer. I work a lot with women on reframing these saboteur thoughts that enter our mind and
Good.
keep
Yeah.
us small. They keep us small. And those voices, that voice that's telling you that, you probably shouldn't, it might say something like, well, you shouldn't show, you don't have the right things to say. You don't have enough experience to speak at this table, or
Right.
whatever it is. Of course, that's going to make you want to feel smaller, to not use your voice. We have to actually work with our brain to reframe those thoughts. And there are some different fun ways of doing that. Maybe we will work on those at the workshop, which we haven't talked about
Yes, I
yet.
want
But
to get into that
yeah,
next because I'm excited about that.
yeah, there are some strategies that we can use to boost our inner confidence. So that's why I love this collaboration between you and I, because everything that you do with women, it starts on the outside and goes, but it ends on the inside, right? It
Right, right. You have to
empowers
turn that
them.
light on in the
Yeah.
inside to
Yes.
own that.
Yeah.
So again, it's tools, right? We
Mhm.
are coaching women so that they are shifting their mindset and they have the tools because we
Yes.
know mindset doesn't change overnight.
No.
And so, yes, so that's what I wanted to share because July 20th, we are doing a workshop, Jennifer and I, so
Mhm.
that you ladies have the perfect opportunity instead of just a few minutes with us now,
Yep.
but enrolling in a workshop where we can dive deep into this. And we're going to give you the information. I'm going to post the link
Mhm.
when I post this, I'm going to add the link so that you can go right to the page to see what it's about, to find out the details. But we felt like the best way to speak to you and to put this together, that you do feel comfortable, that you command authority in any room.
Mhm.
You have that confidence, and it's mastering your confident voice and image. So we're taking our tools, our skill set, our experiences to put this together for you. It's going to be on a Saturday. So again, it's a great way to invest in yourself. So I'm going to put the link to the workshop, and this gives you a chance to save your seat because again, we know from just our responses that this will fill up fast, and we want everyone to have a chance to feel like they get a chance to ask questions, that they're getting the feedback and the information to make a difference in really launching their goals.
Right.
And anything that you want to add to that in terms of the workshop?
Yeah. I mean, I think, um, coming from the research world I come from, I sometimes think about like peeling back the onion on an idea, right? So, or on insights. What we're doing tonight is like we peel back one little thin layer of the onion. In the workshop, we're going to peel back more layers of this onion. And
Right.
then there will be even other opportunities to go even deeper if you desire.
Yes.
And what we really want to do, both Robin and I, is to give you some tangible tips and tools and strategies to feel confident in
Yes.
any room. And we're super excited about it. And I also want to say that I'm super excited that we will also be supporting Dress for Success as part of this. So I do some volunteer work for them here in Chicago. I'm going to be there Thursday. They don't even know about this yet. I'm going to share this with them on
I
Thursday
love it
that
because I
we are,
always love that organization.
yes, they're all about empowering women
Yes.
through providing professional
New
attire,
starts.
coaching.
Yes.
So this is as part of your ticket price, a portion of that is going to Dress for Success. And also, my other company that I do work with is called Threads Worldwide. It's a basically Threads Worldwide creates life-changing work for female artisans globally who would otherwise be in very, very unpleasant work environments and life environments. And we do that through the making of fair trade jewelry and home goods. These items are all from them. And what I'm going to do, and I haven't even told you this yet, Rob, I'm going to
Yes.
have like a couple of featured products, like items that day. And maybe we can even do a little styling with them. And
Absolutely.
there will be an additional opportunity for even more to go to Dress for Success, because anything that that is purchased through that link will be 10% of that will also go to Dress for Success. So it's just like a
It's,
win-win-win-win-win, right?
yes, because ladies, you're investing in yourselves, but I love the fact that you get to help another woman in need to make her goals, to help her dreams come true, to empower her for the next step in her life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's as you said, it's a win-win,
Yeah,
win-win-win.
right.
So I think it's a great time too, because it's the summertime, and I think this is the time where we think, okay, I'm thinking ahead to the fall and next year and what's next for me. So, and do yourselves that favor by taking a look and really deciding about investing in yourself. So, like I said, I will put the link posted with this live tonight. So thank you so much, Jennifer. And our workshop's on the 20th. So this is just, again, talking about what we go through, ladies, the why. And we all go through these transitions of what's next and how do I get through those obstacles. So we're here to team up with you. And you know what, Jennifer? I look forward to talking to you soon. I will post the information. And if anybody has any questions, just pop it in the comments because, again, we want to make sure that you have this opportunity. And so thanks so much for joining me from the Windy City.
Yeah,
And I love that I get to reach out where everybody is in different time zones and different places.
right.
And we'll talk soon. And we hope to see, again, we'll hope to see some of you join us for our workshop as well.
Yes,
And
it's going to be a
have a good
fun one.
night, Jen, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Robin. Bye.
Bye.